everybody. Welcome back, youtube.com/GeekLoud. It's 8 p.m-ish on a Monday night, so you know I'm here. I'm excited. It's Game Enforcement Agency. Troy's on duty with Steve. Also on the Discord/virtual couch. Steve, welcome, sir.
Mate, happy to be here. I am dying to talk about the games we've been playing this week.
What a big week it's been, man. We've had two massive releases, Dying Light 2 and Sifu. Man, I feel like a kid on Christmas. I am so happy to have these new games to play with, mate. I can't wait to talk about everything else that happened this week. So, without further ado, why don't we jump straight into Game Interrogation?
Well, I see you again, huh? In another 2 years?
Oh, there it is.
Maybe.
Look, day one, we're straight into a Dying Light 2. My goodness. Now, if you haven't seen on the channel, of course, we've got the Let's installs already up, and it's there, and it's rocking. And we've got our first Let's Play, which is about an hour, which is the footage you're watching now. Oh, this reminds me, we're now doing live Let's Plays on the channel Wednesdays and Friday mornings at 10 a.m, I believe, which is where this one came from, Friday. So check out the channel. We've got heaps more live streams coming in the near future. Right, so please, keep your eye on the channel. But Steve, to the point, mate,
it's up
Dying
to
Light
us.
2.
Now I can
have you played
go
it?
out
What
and
console are you on?
explore.
Of course, I was on the
tutorial
PS4.
section of the game is over.
Mate, I'm on the Xbox, and I've probably put in now, I don't think it's got a clock timer, but I'd probably be somewhere around the 10 to 12 hour mark, I reckon I've already put in.
Nice. That's plenty more than me, mate. I've only got that initial hour in, and I am dying to get back to it. But I had a jammed-packed weekend full of family commitments, so I have not had a chance to game really over the weekend,
we're going for that
unfortunately.
big aerial. Do we want to go down and check the
Wednesday morning on the channel, you know that live Let's Play.
Maybe.
Ooh, well, it might be Sifu.
I reckon we check the
maybe I should put up a poll. But it's a great game, isn't it, Steve? My first impression was that the foliage, the world, the environment, very
run up the hill and go for the antenna.
Fallout 76 Bethesda engine.
Yep, very Fallout and kind of mixture.
I think I've got enough chamomile and honey now.
Yep,
great a first stage advantage.
But
we need
I was
to see a
actually
bad
surprised
guy
it actually
first.
had good look, because I knew
Bit of an encounter before we knew.
I read some
Can I
reviews
jump
before
off
going
here?
into the game, and I was like,
Let's jump
it
again.
runs at 1080p for the 60
let's
frames
go.
per second, but it actually looks better than that, I think. I don't know whether it's the upscaling, I don't know whether it's my TV, but it definitely looks better than 1080p running at 60. What were your thoughts?
I love the look of it. It looks great. I would love to see a comparison between the PlayStation 5 version and the Xbox version. I don't know if we discussed it on air, Steve, but we got the Abe's Odyssey. Not Abe's Odyssey. What was it called? Soulstorm.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Looking at Soulstorm running on the PlayStation 5, and it was, really crisp, really clear, really awesome looking. But then playing it on the Xbox Series X, it felt honestly like it wasn't hitting 4K on the Series X, but it was on the PlayStation 5, or maybe it's the checkerboarding upscaling they're doing on the PlayStation 5 looks a bit cleaner. But I thought Oddworld looked a little less impressive on the Xbox Series X than it did the PS5. And I don't know why, but something about the way this game runs, I wonder whether it has the same problem. Some part of me suspects that when I see it running on an Xbox, I'm going to think there was a slight visual downgrade of some kind. Have you noticed anything? Like, you've played on the X, obviously, from the gameplay footage you've seen, everything online. Have you noticed any screenshot difference or anything?
No, not at all. And I've actually been impressed with the way it's run and sort of looked on the Xbox. There's times there where I'm like, actually, this looks really good, especially in the city at certain times of day. It can look really good.
Yeah.
Even at night, playing on an LG OLED, which generally keeps the black flicker.
Yes.
I can still sort of think it's all really nice and crisp, and I think the lighting system's really nice in the game as well.
Yeah.
I've been impressed with it.
It's really good, man. Now, I have only played, as I said, that little bit, and I've only seen the melee weapons. And I remember we discussed last week, or recently at least, that you said you could eventually get, I believe it was a shotgun in-game. And I'm just wondering if you're anywhere near any sort of firepower, or are you still just melee weapons that far in?
No, yeah, not at all. I've unlocked quite a few different melee weapons, and I think that's sort of where the game's combat is probably going to be at its best, and I think they've worked really hard on that.
Yeah, right.
And I'm actually really enjoying that of the game. I think firearms in the last game, as fun as they were to use, they would always create a lot of noise, and they would bring the zombies onto you anyway. So you tried to not use them as fun as they were. So I think by the time you get the crossbows and the bows, I think I'm going to have fun with that kind of range combat, which I think I'm not far off because the vendors have just started selling different ammunition for the bows and stuff, which I haven't quite got yet.
I can't wait, man, because that makes me think of Far Cry Primal, and I really love the bow in Far Cry Primal. So hopefully it's some of that action.
Oh, mate, I hope so, because, I'm loving the melee combat. I've just started attaching different sort of things to my weapons to give them, like, electricity and fire to one weapon. And although they break after a while using them, you get plenty of weapons in this. You can buy some of the better weapons stats from vendors for, 800 coin. You've usually got about $5,000 coin once you sell all your valuables anyway. So you've always got plenty of money to buy these good weapons, and you don't really have to worry too much. Like Breath of the Wild, your weapons would break pretty easily. And done with them. And they do last quite a while, so you don't really have to worry about that. And I think just the dismemberment of the zombies and of the human characters, and sort of the ebb and flow of combat, the way you can dodge and you unlock new sort of abilities that sort of link into your parkour abilities as well. So I've just unlocked the completely overpowered jump double leg strike that just boots people 500 meters.
Nice.
It's brilliant. It's so overpowered, but it's so much fun. You should be on a rooftop with these guys and just floor two, and they go flying off the building, and then they're done. So
nice, man. I haven't seen any footage of that, but it sounds like, is it similar to the Assassin's Creed Spartan kick? I think they called it in that one.
Yeah, kind of. It's this one he does launch up in the air with a double feet kick, but it does have that same kind of power. It does have that same kind of power to it. You can spam it because it's not really
no cooldown.
You don't have to worry about you. No, you don't have to worry about your stamina or anything with that as all, which I've now sort of ranked up a fair bit. I've done a fair bit with some of the survivors and the police sort of unit that you can choose to align with in story-wise, and one will give you, zip lines around the world. One might give you car bombs, so you got to pick which one you want. But eventually you can level them all up. So I've gone with the survivors for now because I like the idea of zip lines sort of hitting around my thing, and
that's cool.
Even though these survivors have tried to kill me multiple times, and the police guys have sort of seemingly been, quite good to me after they initially captured me. I was like, why am I working for these guys? They keep trying to kill me, but it's the story I think they're trying to tell. So I was a bit torn, but I'm loving it. I've only had people have been saying there's been a few problems like glitches and bugs and stuff. I've only had one hard crash, which was when I came out of the initial city.
Yes.
With, I think he's Baroque, his name is. I came out of the sewer and I got a hard crash there. And I've had a couple of audio bugs. I don't know whether that's got to do with the quick resume on the Xbox, but every now and again I'll hear sound going, and that's happened probably maybe twice. But apart from world bugs and stuff, I've had nothing really at all, and the game's been running really well. So I'm not sure what it's like on the PS5. Have you any issues at all?
No issues at all to speak of, but I have only played for that hour. So for me, I think you really need to see 6 to 8 hours of it to really get a feel for how buggy it is. So though I've seen none yet, even if it was buggy, that doesn't surprise me, if that makes sense. So I'm not excusing it. I can't speak to it is really my point. But what I did want to point out, Steve, I read all the reviews knocking it for being bug-ridden. And I got to say, man, it reminded me exactly of Days Gone. I think we've got the Days Gone situation again where the reviewers reviewed off version 1.0, but when we got it on launch day, there were 2 patches in already. Or was it 4? Was it 1.04 maybe? They were several patches in. And then Techland, the developers, released a statement saying the one I don't know if there's only been one patch or one of the patches, but fixed over 1,000 bugs in it. It's crazy that they let people review it and then they patch it and fix so much of it. Those reviews don't at all really speak to the quality of the game on launch. It's so insane now.
Yeah, it is. I know. I think they did get a couple of patches during that review. I think they gave the reviewers 2 weeks prior access, which I think that means they're pretty confident with their game to give it out that early. There still was that day one patch that released with the actual launch of the game, and I think that sort of made the game way more stable and there's far less of these bugs. I think the co-op stuff seems to be working now, which I don't think it was for reviewers. I think GameSpot gave it a 6 out of 10 or something, which I think is quite harsh considering. The game I've played is definitely not a 6 out of 10. I think it's one of the better open world games I've played. It's got great side quests, which have been reminiscent of playing even the Assassin's Creed. I think it was Odyssey had some really good side quests and story quests, which have been just as compelling as the main campaign. So, no, I think 6 out of 10 is very unfair for this at the moment. I'm probably leaning towards maybe an 8.5 at the moment with what I've played, or maybe even higher.
100%. I'm with you right there, Steve. In my mind, only an hour in. Granted, this is a really loose number, but 8.5 is exactly what I was thinking for it, man. And now, if everyone can just play along with me here, I'm going to do something I haven't tried before, but let's do it anyway. I'm going to cut to my laptop off the footage, and here we go here. This is the Metacritic 2. Oh, total aside and by total chance, but look at the top line banner on Metacritic for me is Dying Light 2 as I look up Dying Light 2. Sometimes I wonder about the moneyed interests of Metacritic, but that aside, have a look at this. Currently it's sitting on a 77, and I'm with you, Steve. I think that number should be closer to 85. I think it's, once again, it'll be one of those unfortunately heavily incorrect reviews post-launch. Like, this game's not going to look the same. And the big one I wanted to point out, sorry, back to the footage that we're expecting, to the point, I read in multiple reviews people talking about the save game file deletion. I've seen that in reviews, but I haven't seen a legitimate comment online that I believed was someone who played it who also experienced. I really think that issue was patched before the general public got their hands on it.
I think they've come out and said that was one of the patches,
Yeah, but the none of the reviews reference that, in my opinion. They didn't clearly state, oh, well, with that fixed, we should give it an extra point or 2 points or whatever. Like, crazy.
I want to point out as well, this developer was supporting Dying Light up until last year. They released content for the first Dying Light, which came out 2015 or something.
2015, exactly, 2015, yep.
They released content for that game last year. So these are developers that this is their game. They're going to continue to support this game. And the fact that it's already in this sort of state, which I believe is very playable and very good game, I think it's only going to get better. They're going to add DLC. Like, I end up paying for the collector's edition stuff, so I've got the 2 DLCs for free coming my way eventually, and I think it's just a way to support these developers that essentially they're not a AAA developer, they're an indie studio essentially creating a game that's this vast, and I think it's such an achievement they've actually been able to get it out eventually when a lot of people were saying this game wasn't even going to see the light of day.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. I love what they've been able to achieve with it. And I guess, just to go back on my own point, just for a moment, I should be clear in that I don't think it's the reviewer's fault necessarily. I think they could have put a bit more disclaimer up front, but also, of course, Techland have to take the vast majority of responsibility for it, being that, of course, they had the option. They could have just pushed the release date back, which would then enable the reviewers to be reviewing a more stable version of the game, and then the Metacritic score would have been fair. So if they're playing like the meta game of how it reviews across the internet, maybe they could sharpen up their tool set a little. But I think for the honesty of the audience reception, I think it's a little bit off. The launch day reviews, I don't think accurately reflect the launch day product. So just a word of warning, if those reviews put you off at all, I don't think you should hold too much weight. I'd say go look at a live stream of a recently patched game and base your opinion more so on that version, would just be my advice there. I think there's a better... Sorry, mate, please go.
No, I was going to sort of bring it back to the game. I was going to say, if you're someone that was put off by the sort of the nighttime stuff in the first game, it was too scary, and I was probably one of those people that didn't like to play the game at the nighttime because it was almost too hard and scary. But this one, they've found a nice balance now where like the interiors are actually much easier to navigate. And they've got some really good loot in there if you go out at night, because all the zombies come out from their houses at night, so they're really hard to get in there during the day.
Yep.
And so if you go in there and loot them at night, so it gives you. I find myself playing the game all the way through from day and night this time, as opposed to just finding my bed, sleeping, make it morning every day. So there's real good gameplay aspects there, and there's really good risk for the reward of going out at night now and sort of going inside these houses where there are less zombies to find some good loot. And it's really cool in the morning if like you've still got zombies outside, you'll see them crawling back inside. If they're caught out in the sun, they'll start looking like they've been Thanos snapped and all their skin starts disintegrating and stuff in the sun, and they're easier to defeat. Like, there's just some really cool touches they've made in this. They don't just reappear inside. Like, you can literally, and as night breaks, you can see them crawling out of windows and stuff. I just think they've gone to a lot of detail here and stuff that, not getting credit for, because they're just sort of looking at all the bugs and all that kind of stuff instead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's over there. I think we're in agreement that there is a great game here, and there's just been a bit of a disservice as to how it was presented. But a great game, and if you're a zombie, melee, maybe Mirror's Edge type fan, this game is really quality, and you will really like it. So I don't know.
One last thing on that. You mentioned Mirror's Edge. This, I think, is the best parkour game going around. I think it's got if this is the first person Assassin's Creed, this is it, because the parkour is brilliant. It feels almost just as good to move around in this game as it does to move around as Spider-Man in 2018 Spider-Man. Like, it's just fun to play. Like, you probably haven't quite reached that high yet because you haven't unlocked some of the abilities to leap, buildings in a single bound and stuff like that. But once you sort of unlock some of those abilities, the moving around this game is fun.
Even without the high-end abilities unlocked, man, just with the skills that I have so far, you're right. I have been impressed by the free-flowing movement of it. It's really quality. I've really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to get back into it. As I said, currently for me, it's in about an 8.5, and I'm keen to put more hours into it. I can't wait to get into it a bit more. Expect more coverage on the channel. I am really enjoying it.
Well, we can't wait to see you on the channel playing this week, hopefully.
Oh, yes. We need to work out whether it's going to be Wednesday or Friday. But anyway, that'll do it for Dying Light 2. Now, Game 2 this week, we continue our series of Call of Duty mission by mission. This is, of course, the last week, as this is Mission 9, the culmination of the Call of Duty Vanguard campaign. I got to say, Steve, they're still doing new stuff in this game. I would argue this is one of the better Call of Duty single-player campaigns they've ever done. Admittedly, it's probably the shortest one they've ever done, but I would argue pound for pound, this has the most amount of new ideas, new features, cinematic storytelling, highly engaging cutscenes. It's just a real masterpiece, I think, of a single-player campaign.
I agree. I really enjoyed this campaign, and just the way as we sort of envisioned sort of over the last couple of weeks, how it was all going to come together with sort of playing that final mission is all the characters you've been getting to know throughout the whole campaign, through their backstories. And I think it sort of came together nicely in the way you sort of mixed up who you were playing as during the campaign as well. I think they sort of mixed their abilities really nicely with the gameplay as well towards the end. And I was going to sort of wait to mention it, but that final scene where you walk into that room and the camera flicks around.
Yes, I know. Yes.
Oh, mate, I had like my skin was tingling. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It just looked really cool. You didn't really have to do a whole lot. You walked to the room.
I know. Yes, it's the cinematic moments, mate. This is one of the best examples of cinematic moments pulled off superbly in video games. I would argue the game before this that tried it was probably Grand Theft Auto 5, switching out between Michael and Trevor. Like, if you hit the button, like it does the zoom out, zoom in. But this, being a single player, like linear story, they can just trickle feed it, and then at the exact right moment, I can't remember the character's name, but someone throws an ammo pouch. You're playing the character, you throw an ammo pouch, and then the camera follows the ammo pouch through the air like a drone shot, and then comes back into the next character. It is these perfect, like, little cinematic signature camera moves that they just turn it up to 11, man. It's like I'm playing a James Bond action piece. It is one of the most coolest, empowering things ever. But allow me to put a big but there, Steve, because I got to tell you, this game, as cool as that is, and as cinematic as that is, and as awesome as it is, it does have that impact of pulling you out of the gameplay, and you turn into watching as opposed to playing. You go from active participant into viewer and back again. And I got to say, that taking you out just for the brief moment, that is exactly why Guardians of the Galaxy 2 cannot allow you to use multiple characters. I would argue the best way multiple characters has ever been done is that Call of Duty Vanguard campaign, specifically Mission 9, because I want to say they did at least 6 of those cinematic transitions. I believe the count was 6. Just phenomenal. I've never seen that many awesome cinematic transitions crammed into one short gameplay session. It was phenomenal. As I said, it takes you out of it a little bit, but if you can recall, in Grand Theft Auto 5, they did that character switching cinematic moment, but because the load times were so long, it sort of zoomed right out and then waited and really pulled you out and then got in, whereas Call of Duty does it way quicker. It's like, bang, you're out, following an ammo pouch, bang, you're back in. Like, it's probably not more than 2 seconds, maybe a second and a half of a transition, and it looks cool, but it does take you out a little bit. I think for Call of Duty, awesome, perfect, don't change a thing, you've nailed it. But it's also a cautionary tale for the developers. Who was it who did Guardians of the Galaxy? Was that Crystal Dynamics, I want to say? Am I wrong?
No, they were. Crystal Dynamics is Avengers. It is. Who was Guardians?
Who was Guardians? Oh, Montreal. Tomb Raider people? Was it...
No, because that's... that's just on the... Guardians of the Galaxy game. No, it's going to come to me, Troy. I've got this. You can keep talking about Guardians while I
Yeah. So, the reason Guardians of the Galaxy can't do it is because Guardians' storytelling is non-linear. The way they enable you to just walk around the environment and then interact with the characters as you come upon them at your speed, that's what sells Guardians. That's what makes Guardians cool. I am Peter Quill. I can take my time. And when I get there, my squad mates respond to me and it's awesome dynamics. And as was said in the past, like, the use of squad in Guardians means they can take elements off the HUD because they can get the characters in-world to do it, which is way more immersive. But part of that immersion is never breaking from Peter Quill. I am Peter Quill. I set the pace of Peter Quill. That makes the character mine. That makes the story mine and feel very personal. As awesome as it is to switch out characters in Call of Duty where it fits perfectly, I would argue that would totally break the immersion that made Guardians of the Galaxy 1 the game that it was. So please let us stay as Peter Quill in Guardians 2. I think if you wanted to try to do multiple characters, you need to rip off Call of Duty Vanguard's cinematic moments the way they do it. But the problem with that is, in Guardians, you would want to be able to, the player wants to be able to pick when to switch characters, and Call of Duty only works because they can dictate the pace at which it happens. And I think they are key fundamental gameplay points that mean they can't cross over, in my mind.
That's right. And I'd happily play, I wouldn't say a whole campaign potentially like this last level, but I could see some DLC coming out where you play levels as these group now that they're together. And I think the end of the game kind of hints at that when they're in the plane and they're finding all these different documentation about different things going on. And I'm like, is there a story campaign? Because I had a look and it doesn't appear like that's on the cards. It looks like they're adding stuff to zombies and multiplayer, but nothing campaign-wise. But the way they set that up when they're in the plane and just talking about all the different missions they could go on, this would be really compelling, great DLC, especially if you're playing as this group of characters and they can really get that cinematic stuff going in. I would definitely play that.
But here's my argument, Steve. You won't see it as DLC this year. In 3 more years, that Call of Duty by Sledgehammer will be the follow-on. The way they did what am I trying to think of? Black, what's that code? The brainwashing one.
Yeah, Black Ops.
Black Ops, thank you. Yeah. The way they did Black Ops and then 3 years later they did Black Ops 2 and continued the story. If Sledgehammer in 2 more years, when their next one comes out, if they follow on from Vanguard, that would be amazing. And if they've got 3 years to maybe pad it out a little bit longer and give us more like a 20-hour campaign or something, that'd be awesome. That'd be amazing. But to their point, they have nailed so many elements as the first time in this game that, I don't know, my hat's really off to them. They have just delivered in droves on this game. I think it's brilliant. I just love the way they thought about it.
And so this is how much I enjoyed it. I went back, and I think I messaged you about it, went back and started playing the game on veteran difficulty.
No, you didn't tell me that. How'd it go?
Oh, mate, it was actually, I really enjoyed veteran difficulty. It's like you have to slow down a lot, so you actually notice a lot more things going on. You notice a lot more animations. You notice the story more because you're not just rushing through it.
Yes.
And you have to be really methodical. It becomes a different game, and it's really enjoyable because it doesn't quite have the waves of Call of Duty normally. You can actually just sort of sit back, take out the enemies, then your guys will move forward, then you can move forward. So you can take it slowly. So I managed to get all the way to, I think it was Stalingrad. On veteran. So that's probably halfway through the game on veteran.
I reckon that's a little bit over, but yeah. I think that's mission 4 of 9. So anyway.
Yeah, and I got probably about halfway through that, so I got through the initial sort of snipers and stuff and worked my way up, and I'm scared to think how hard it's going to get when I've got to fight those other snipers and guys coming in, because that was tough on heroic. But
the department store level when you're Lady Nightingale sneaker, I can't imagine how difficult that would be.
Yeah, I know. So I kind of noped out at that point, going, I'll play something else. Actually, right now, but I'll bring up one more thing. Did you wait to the end of the credits when you finished the game by any chance?
Well, admission here. Yes, I let the credits roll through to completion and go back to the main menu because I saw there was a silver trophy attached to see it play through. But I got up and walked off, so I have no idea what happened at the end. I just let it roll in the studio while I was off doing other stuff. So
that's great. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. I literally was bringing up the point of the fact that I got an achievement for it at the end of watching all the credits. I was wanting to see if you got the same thing. So.
Yeah, no, I looked ahead and saw, because Call of Duty have been doing that for, I want to say, about 8 years, trophy for watching out the credits. So I know with Call of Duty specifically, always check the trophy list and see, because some years they don't do it, but some years they do. And so I knew to look for that one. I checked in advance, and I'm like, right here, I'll let the credits roll and just walk off. Came back later, main menu, trophy popped, perfect.
Nice. I was like, it was not the easiest trophy I ever earned. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and a silver one. So good on them. But yeah, all in all,
I was going to say, like, yeah, all in all, now we're going to have to kind of rate Call of Duty.
Yes.
From start to finish now, what are you probably sitting on score wise for a campaign for COD for last year?
Honestly, man, the only negative swipe I want to, go on permanent record of taking at them is the game length. Yes, admittedly, a bit short. So, yeah, I'd love to see a bit longer campaign. As I said, 15 to 20 hours to me is the sweet spot for a Call of Duty campaign. Yep. This one came in, I think the longest time I took for one mission was 52 minutes. The average was 40 minutes, though, per mission, 9 missions. So a little bit disappointing time-wise. And then, as we pointed out, I believe it was the end of mission 4 set up the start of mission 3 perfectly, and they felt out of order.
Yeah, no, great. I'm playing back that flying level as well on the hardest difficulty was just an absolute pain. Like, it was not fun to play at all.
That's a good point. We should really ding them for that level. That one level specifically, they never got the controls right. They had to be so forgiving with the damage because they didn't get the controls right that it lost all impact. Honestly, the story beats they did in that mission, if they couldn't get the controls right, they should have just done with a cutscene and left that mission on the floor.
Cutscene. Keep me boots to the ground. To be honest, I don't even need to be in a tank at all in a game. Just leave me boots on the ground. I'm happy to do that. I don't need any vehicle sections in that Call of Duty if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's I'm with you 100%, man. Call of Duty should leave vehicle driving to Battlefield, I think. Let's just be soldiers on the front line and, perfect. But, yeah, I commend them for their new steps, their take on it, their take on a squad shooter, their take on the cinematic transitions, tip of the cap, top notch. No one else in the industry is doing it. They need to be commended for the excellent work they've done, and I feel they got shortchanged by most people in the games industry this year on review. I think they just dung them for the time and then gave them nothing. But they did fantastic character development. I was really interested in those characters. As you said, mate, at the end of that story, the way they've built that squad and the way you now understand that squad, yes, give me another campaign. Give me another 20 hours of these characters. They're rich, they're compelling, I understand them, they're all unique. I love the Aussies. Come on. So bang you in there, mate. It's perfect. I could totally take a whole campaign of those Aussies. That was perfect. But all in all, I don't know, man. I guess I'd want to sit this as a 9 out of 10 for a campaign. We're just talking specifically Call of Duty campaign.
Just campaign,
Just campaign, but it's it's ding points for the flight mission 4. That one really let them down, but and the mission length, they're the only two things I'd take off. I'd take off 1 point for that, so I'd give them a 9 out of 10. How about you, Steve? Where does it sit for you?
Mate, I'm probably sitting there. Like, I was playing this going, I've been obviously playing a lot of Uncharted as well at the moment and going, this is like, you're playing your moment-to-moment gameplay just for the thrill of the shoot and the thrill of whatever's happening on screen at once. And I think this delivers it in droves. So as far as Call of Duty campaigns go, I had a lot of fun with this. And the fact that I went back straight away to even play it on Veteran and was having so much fun just doing that, mate, I've got to give give it probably a 9 as well. So.
Yeah, nice one. Oh, the other thing I meant to give him big props for, we did a World War II first-person shooter game with Nazis, and the villain wasn't Hitler. They created a new villain. I have no idea. Yeah. I have no idea if that whole villain, like if that dude existed, if his story is based anyway in reality. I have no idea. As far as I know, pure fiction, and they just created that dude, but they created an awesome villain. The way he was played and acted out, perfect presentation. Like, I hated that dude. I loved the way it finished. I don't want to give away how you finally get to him done, but it's brilliant. I loved it.
The payoff is good, and so I can't speak more highly of the campaign this year. And hopefully, Modern Warfare looks like it's going to be Modern Warfare 2 by Infinity Ward this year. I think, well, knowing Modern Warfare 1, which I loved, I think they'll sort of keep going with Call of Duty campaigns being good this year. So it is Call of Duty, but it's usually it's pretty good.
Exactly. Final thoughts from us, definitely give that Call of Duty campaign a try. If you're a bit tight for cash, as a lot of people are right now, maybe wait till it drops down to $20. Maybe $20 is a good price for that campaign, but at $20, it's a steal and everyone should play it, in my opinion. I absolutely loved it.
Especially being February, where it seems like February is the new Christmas. There's got that many bloody games coming out this week. And
definitely.
And speaking of first-person shooters, our next game on the list is Far Cry 6, which I finally finished, bro.
Far Cry? Oh, you finished it, Steve. Great work. Can I trouble you for a time to complete, do you think, from your side?
Oh, God. I don't even know if I saw a time clock there, but it probably would have been around the 30, 40 hour mark, I want to say.
Oh, okay. So you did it in about half the time that I did it in. Good work, man.
Yeah, I don't know how much extra side content I did compared to you. I did a fair bit of it, but I didn't sort of feel the need to clear the whole map or anything.
Oh, I cleared the whole map, mate. Don't you worry about that.
No, so I could see, like, if I had the time, I could see myself going in there and clearing it and going for sort of, platinum style trophy or the 1,000 achievements on the Xbox, but because the gameplay is really fun. Like I kind of got back into the game because I saw they added a Rambo mode, which is just some free DLC. It's one mission where you unlock Rambo's bow, which says Rambo on it. It does explosive arrows, and you've got this guy who's a Rambo fan, and he just wants you to go in there and kill all these enemies, and literally you've got to get the kill count from Rambo 1, I think, to finish the mission. Which is pretty funny. So, but it got me back into it. And I just started playing it and enjoying the mechanics again. And I just kept playing the story missions and just nutting those out, not worrying about the side content. And so I saw the ending, and I think I messaged you about the ending, and I was like, that ending got me. I did my mouth was ajar at the end because I just didn't expect what was coming. Like, I don't think I want to spoil it in case people.
No, don't spoil it. Great ending though, man. I'm with you 100%.
It was a really good ending, and like there was sort of twists and turns. Like you went out to that island, which I thought it was a bit weird. They took all my weapons away from me because I was trying to hide as one of their their army dudes. I was like, surely you don't have to take away all my stuff from me. And then all of a sudden I've got it all back when everything turns to shit.
Yeah.
That was a bit weird. But that was a weird kind of design choice, I thought. But the story beats during that whole bit I thought were quite good. And there was a certain character there that, may she rest in peace, that I didn't expect, to no longer be with us in the game. That kind of came out of nowhere. And then sort of the ending as well, it took me by surprise, and I didn't expect them to go there, but I'm really glad they did. And actually, it sort of made me really enjoy Far Cry 6. I don't know why it took this long to actually finish it. Obviously, there's been a lot of other stuff coming out and stuff, but I'm very happy I've gone back and completed it. So,
yeah, man, I loved it. As you know, mate, when it came out, I played it through almost start to finish immediately and thought it was brilliant. My big question for you, mate, and I don't think the answer is going to be yes, but did you get that last backpack that let you see through walls with the rifle that let you clear out a whole mission from one spot?
No, I didn't. I still don't know what potentially I have to do for that. Is that one of the Supreme? Is it a Supremo? Ability, or?
It is a Supremo, but it's oh god, my memory's a bit rusty now. There was definitely like the elite Panther. You know how there's the high tier, the hunts. You know how there's like what is there 5 or 6 like the key? No, like I'm trying to think now. From Far Cry 4, was it like? one of the big monsters was the pig, and I can't remember the pig's name, but it was a ludicrous mission because you get there and it's just a pig that has a heap of health and is super aggressive. But they've done that. So, like in the game, there's a king panther. There's like the king of the jungle, like the five king animals, and it's the panther one. When you kill the panther one is when you get the Supremo. Like I think maybe you had to kill a couple, but the panther was the last one for me. You kill the panther, and then in its lair, the king panther's lair is the Supremo that lets you do it.
Nice. Well, maybe I'll go back and just get that gun just to have, for the sake of it, because I really do enjoy the gun combat lift, and I've now unlocked certain guns that, I can use a pistol that's like almost like sniper-like accuracy from far distance. I can just land headshots, and it doesn't matter what kind of enemy I'm facing, how far above they are. Headshots take them out in one go, which is what I like in these games.
Yep.
Like the level gating's not too bad, and the fact that you can create these guns that will annihilate enemies, which is really fun. And I just sort of feel like James Bond. That was another time I came back. I went and saw James Bond. I just wanted to play a game that made me feel like Bond, and this was it. So, and just I think this is probably now maybe taking the cake for me as maybe my favourite Far Cry game. The probably one before that was maybe Far Cry 3 was my favourite. I did enjoy Far Cry 5 as well.
Isn't that funny for me? The high watermark previously was 4, and then this has taken it. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I never finished 4. Like I loved 3 and 4. I played for a bit, but I just kind of got over it. Like I don't know where it was the setting. Just being in the mountains was a bit too much, and I prefer the tropical setting as well of Far Cry 3. And
they do tropics well.
Yeah, so it brought me back to sort of that kind of aesthetic, which I really enjoyed being in and then playing, which is another reason I really enjoy playing Forza. It's a similar kind of setting. But I just love being in the world. It's just funny. Like obviously, being in this COVID world, we can't go to tropical holidays. And it just sort of felt like being on a tropical holiday where I get to shoot people in the head. So
beautiful. What more could you want on your holidays?
That's right. Yeah, shoot people in the head on a tropical holiday. That's what. We don't talk too much more about this. It came out last year. I enjoyed it. The campaign was good, and I'm glad I finished it now.
It's great. Sorry, just for your point, I'll just add on a little personal anecdote. I've been to the States 3 times in my adult life, and all 3 times I've gone to their shooting ranges to take advantage of being able to fire their assault rifles and stuff because they don't have laws against it. So if you do happen to travel to America, make sure you stop by a shooting range because a lot of these weapons you can go hands-on with, and it's quite the experience, I might say.
Very, very cathartic, you might say.
Oh, I would go the other way. It doesn't relax me or make me feel good at all. It jacks me up and bang, and there's explosions and whoa, I'm on fire and going. It's the opposite for me. But anyway, that was Far Cry 6. I love it. Steve gives it the thumbs up. Once again, if a lot of the reviews put you off and it's more Far Cry, once again, pick it up at $20 and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Oh, sorry, Steve. I just wanted to round back to the point and say, I think definitely spend the time, go back and unlock that gun because I would put it up there with Portal 2. Remember at the end of Portal 2, the gun?
Yep.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? No, it's not Portal 2 at all. Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2.
The gravity gun?
The gravity gun at the end of Half-Life 2. It's got that moment where it's like the whole game's been awesome and then they take like this 90-degree turn and suddenly it's somewhere else with the weapons, but it's cool. It's cool as hell and you don't see it coming. That's what that Supremo is. You don't see it in Far Cry. It's never been in a Far Cry game before. It's an odd weapon, but it's so worth unlocking just to experience the game with it. I can't recommend enough. Go back, unlock that weapon and have a crack, man. I reckon you'll love it.
Oh, you've talked me into it. If it wasn't February and we didn't have 1,000,001 games coming out. Speaking of 1,000,001 games coming out, there's one that we got today, Troy. What was it?
It was Seafood. No, Sifu. It's Sifu. I've only put, I put 20 minutes into it on stream, which is what we're watching here, the live Let's Plays. That's what we've been doing lately on the channel. If I've got time, I do the live Let's Installs because the 4K computer's dead and I've got to do them live now. Because the render times, I shoot a thing, but it takes an hour, say, to do an install video to produce it. But it's like 4 hours to render it out on the back end. It's insane. Anyway, Seafood is what we're here to talk about, and I absolutely love it. This is the 20 minutes from the opener of the game, and Steve, you gave me the heads up that it was the best opener you'd seen in a long time. I had no idea why it was a good opener, but I went in with the eyes open, and I was still floored by how good it was, mate. What were your initial impressions?
Dude, when I started playing this game, I'd seen this sort of, a few reviews and coverage on it saying how hard it was and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, this is good. This is kind of what I want. Like, sometimes I enjoy games that are just hard for hard's sake, and like it is a challenge just to get through. So I kind of want to be like the one person that finished it, or like Returnal last year, get the platinum in it, just to say you got the platinum in it. So, Secret at the moment, I was going to say, like, I actually finished it because it looks like it's going to be pretty tough. And from my experience so far, it has been very tough. I thought I was doing very well at the start because I managed to get through this tutorial without any deaths. I'm not sure. Did you die in the tutorial stage or not?
No, I didn't die in the tutorial stage, but once I went back and I put in about, I think, another half hour to the game, off stream, and I died pretty rapidly in the first real mission of the game. It was the first time I saw the death.
Yeah, okay. So I was doing pretty well. I managed to defeat the first boss of the first biome level and stuff.
Wow.
So I beat him at probably age 39. I think I was when I did that. So to explain to the audience, it's a weird system, but it's a really cool system where you die. If you die, you literally restart exactly where you are. Enemies have still got the same amount of health where they were, but you age up. So, and you've got a death count meter. So say you're 20 years at the start, you die one time, you've got 1. So you age up to 22. But say you die a few more times, that death counter might go up to 3. So next time you die, you're up to 24 years old. So you can defeat enemies and bring that death counter down. So you might be able to bring it back down to 1 or 0. And just the next time you die, you're not penalized as much. But the ideally, you want to get to the end of each level with the lowest sort of age possible.
Can I just say, because to finish the point on that, if you die enough times as I did, once you die, I think it's 6 times, your age goes from 66 to 72. Like, it starts jumping, like at the start, as Steve said, as you just said, mate, it was, you die once and you're only aged 2 years, but by the 5th or 6th deaths, they're jumping, 7, 8 years per death. And so by the time I died early on, but then my second death was against the end boss of the first biome, and I haven't passed him yet. But you get right up to 72, and then he kills you one more time, and game over. They give you a trophy for dying, and you're back to the start. But it's not full roguelike in that, you've unlocked abilities, skill trees, and they stay with you. Sorry, mate, back to you.
Well, you say that they stay with you, but those abilities you unlock do only unlock for you for that very run only, unless you do it 6 times to do it permanently. So what you need to do, so say you unlock, which I'll recommend to you, do the ability which gives you the R1 ability to just kick anything off the ground.
Okay.
I can't remember what's called, like throwable expert or something like that.
Right.
So I think it's 1,000 XP each time. So you got to buy it once each time. Once you've bought it once in a run, every time you then get 1,000 points, you can buy it again, and you get that counter down from 5 times down to 1 time down to nothing. And once you got it to nothing, it's a permanent unlock. So once it's permanent, you'll have that ability for every single run. So it can be a little bit tedious. So almost like the worse the game you are, the more you're going to be playing these levels, the more abilities you're going to unlock. I've actually unlocked, I reckon, 3 permanent abilities now by sort of grinding the first level. So now
in what time? In how long?
Not too long. So I probably played maybe 3 hours, 3 hours this afternoon.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Not too bad. So I managed to end up going back. So my second level, I was obviously starting off at age 39 each time. So whatever the youngest you finish the first level is how young you start that second level each time. So you have to play that first level and then sort of try and finish it better where you start the next level younger. And then each time you start that next level, you're at that age. So I went back and sort of grinded through the first level a bit, and I've managed to beat that first boss at age level 25. So now I'm only age level 25 when I start the second level each time now. So, and I'm at a point now where I'm halfway through, or just over halfway through. I've beaten a mini boss in this second level / biome, and I think age 30, maybe just 30. So I'm not doing too badly at the moment, but I understand there's 5 main big levels in the game. So I don't want to lose too much now before the boss, because you can be doing really well, and then all of a sudden that boss kicks your ass. And as you've probably seen, as soon as that boss kicks your ass, you're aging up very quickly, and you're starting that next level at maybe age 50 or 60, which you probably don't want to be if you've got to get through the rest of the game.
Yeah, definitely, man. And sorry, I think we kind of brushed over it. What was your take on the intro to the game, mate? How did you feel about the intro?
Mate, the intro is one of the best intros I've played for ages. Like, I was kind of like you. I was watching your stream earlier, and I was like, I reckon I'm playing as the bad guy here, and I reckon and especially when he walks in there and says, "Oh, hello," he says, "G'day, Sifu." I quite like that because he's not Australian, but he's like, he mentioned Sifu. I'm like, oh, we're not Sifu, because I was like, he does look a bit different to the character I've expected in all the gameplay we've seen.
Yeah,
and then the way that sort of takes over, and you pick your character being a boy or girl, and you come out and you get killed for the first time by this main guy, and then you it shows that first resurrection sort of ability which you're going to have throughout the game, which is pivotal to the whole game, and then it just rolls into this like Kill Bill style rolling credits where it's him training up. And
can I say, mate? Sorry, just on that point, that is rolling right now as you speak, so people can see it on screen. Keep going.
Ah, beautiful. So it just rolls into this, and it's like a tutorial credits meets like Rocky style get better scene where he's like, it's showing you the bosses you're going to fight, but it's also him imagining himself beating all these guys.
Yes,
killed his dad, and essentially killed him at the start. So he's training himself to become that warrior that's going to have to fight these guys. And I just think it was a absolutely brilliant start to a game, and just the way I think you see it in your stream at the end where he just punches the last guy and it just cuts to that hard scene where it just goes Sifu across the screen. And it's just it's absolutely epic. So the whole lead up, the rain through the controller is very similar to the way the Returnal started, where your first level comes and you can feel it in your controller. I was like, and just the art style in the game is impeccable, and I think the difficulty is going to turn some people off, because it can get frustrating when you're in, especially the second level. The first level I didn't have too many troubles with. The second level you start sort of realize if you don't have a weapon at the right time, and you're trying to time it where you do get a weapon so you can take out these enemies, but then you might get hit, you lose 8 of your 8 lives, I'll say 8 ages at once. You start getting quite frustrated knowing you need the lowest level. It's risk versus reward though, and it's got that kind of Returnal one more try, and you just want to keep going and get better. And I think it's like Karate Kid, mate. Wax on, wax off. Like you literally,
it's so good.
The game wants you to just be doing these things over and over again. I think that's why the levels are the way they are. You're just playing them to get better, and you're getting muscle memory, and they want you to get better at the game as opposed to throwing the mechanics at you to make you just this god. Like you've got to get good, as the saying goes. and I'm going to say, the more I've played these games, the more I've replayed that first level, the better I've gotten, and the quicker I'm getting through those levels. And obviously, I've started out at being age 39 coming into my level 2, and now age 25, which is a very good run.
Definitely, mate.
Especially getting the boss. I think the boss might have been I think I might have died once through my run up to the boss, and the boss might have killed me once, and I managed to find a weapon that I didn't even know was in one of the bits just before the boss. So I found a weapon.
Was it the broom?
No, it was a baseball bat. So I found a baseball bat behind
nice.
a bar in this area. You'll find, I'll tell you now, there's a bar with like 2 chicks that do the heel stomp move in the second level, before sort of one of the mid bosses, and there's a baseball bat behind the bar where they are. So just keep a lookout for that.
Pro tip: just before on level 1, before you open the cell door, like in the bottom of the. What's it called? The factory. They have a different word for it. There's the cell door just before that on the left. If you go into that room, it's an optional room. But in there, I loved it. There was a broom on the ground. And what I love is you fight the first guy with the broom and you hit him and the end flies off the broom. And then it just turns into a staff weapon. It does more damage without the head on it. I thought it was brilliant. I loved it.
It's so good. And by the time, as I said, you unlock the ability to hit just like R1 to launch stuff. You've got bottles and stuff on the ground and chairs. You can kick into them. It'll pull them to the ground. You hold your circle to just bash them in the head. So you can kind of spam enemies sometimes and run around and just like R1 these like ground objects into people, just hit them on the ground. Or I've now got a combat move where I can like if I'm on the ground, I can counter and sweep them back. And it's just like there's some moves you definitely need to get. And I will go into depth with you, not on air, with the ones you probably can get to help you along the way.
Please do.
I've done some digging for us, Troy, just to make it a bit easier.
Nice one, buddy. Good work.
And I've unlocked a few achievements where I didn't think I'd do. There was one to get through one of these areas in the first level in under a minute and 20, and I didn't even know it was a thing until I did it.
Oh, wow.
I thought I was having a good run, and then when I popped the trophy, I was like, oh, that was a nice little reward.
I can't believe that you can get to that boss in a minute 20. That's insane. I think it took me 20 minutes, and I didn't even get to the boss on my first attempt.
Oh, mate, yeah, no, I got to the boss of my first attempt getting through there. I thought I was being really good. As I said, not until I got to that second level, I was like, this is where the game's going to kick my ass.
Indeed. If I can ask Steve, or would you mind just elaborating for us, because I'm not that far into it, but the L2, I want to say it's L2, goes into a very slow-mo detective view type mode. You get a reticule on the players, and so far all I have unlocked is 2 abilities, and one's, I think it's 1 o'clock with the L3. You move L3 to 1 o'clock and then select it, and it's like an eye gouge. And then I also unlocked, you hold, what did I just say, L2 in, and then you move L3 down to 5 o'clock, I think, and it's the leg sweep you may have referred to earlier. But what I want to know from you, mate, do you have any idea how many abilities you unlock at the end? Because that wheel looks like it could hold at least 12 abilities.
There's probably is about 12, but as I said, you unlock them once per run, unless you unlock it multiple times. Obviously, that 5 times after you've unlocked that first time to get the permanent ability for that. But there's quite a few. So apparently the leg sweep one is one of the most powerful, because you take
that one's great. I love that power. But what I haven't got at the minute, I can sweep them to the ground, but I don't have a ground attack. I'm sure there's a ground attack. But those two would be the perfect combo. Knock them down, then beat them. At the minute, I can knock them down, but I can't beat them. But it does give me time to.
You can.
How?
You can. Hold circle. It was in that tutorial credits section where I did see you do it. I've forgotten about it as well, because I kept trying to punch people when they reached the
Yeah.
If you just hold circle above them, you'll go down and punch them twice in the head.
Nice. Pro tip. Thank you very much. Oh, now, sorry. Well, it's back up on screen because we've looped. It's now back. People can see the red screen montage sequence of you training up, as you go from 6 or whatever you started up to 22 or 20 whenever you start. But I just wanted to point out it's a great visual communication the developers have done, whereby it's clearly him training, and obviously he wouldn't be training against those enemies, but it speaks to the character's motivation that he imagines as he's sparring with people. He's never imagining that he's just sparring with people. You're right, Steve. No. His motivation is driving him. He's imagining in every single fight he has in the level that he's fighting one of those 5 key bad guys. I think it speaks volumes to the character's motivation, and it's done all through visual storytelling. I didn't have to read this on a tooltip screen, and a character didn't have to tell me. The designers just nailed the communication of the idea, and I just think it's brilliant. I haven't seen a game do that kind of communication that concisely, that quickly before. It got me in hook, line, and sinker. I'm like, I know that feeling as a character. I can empathize with him completely. I understand where he's coming from. Let's go. Let's avenge my father's death. Let's do it. It really G'd me up.
Let's just call this game what it is. It's John Wick / Keanu Reeves simulator.
It is. It's the Keanu Reeves simulator, and I'm going to say he's one of my favorite actors.
And just wait till you see some of the scenes, the way it's shot, the art, the music, you do a hallway scene where it's a one-shot thing. It's just incredible, man. And there's a level that I'm just coming through right now where I've walked into a hallway and they're doing a thing with neon lights and a dark hallway and the music all at once, and it's insane. Nice. And I've only just hit that point, so I'm probably getting close to the boss of the second level, which I'm very scared at, because I'm about to lose a whole bunch of age to my character.
Do you know, Steve, what is it, 5 or 6 continues, you've got the gold coins hanging off your chain, so it's visually displayed on screen in game. It's similar to Dark, well, the one in space. Dark, what am I thinking of? You know, in space, and the back, Dead Space, yeah. And the back of the suit is the visual indicator of how much your health is, very much like that. In Continues in this game, it's hanging off his belt there. You can see it. The little gold, like it's a red string with 5 or 6 gold coins on it, and they're all your continues. My question, Steve, is do you know if we can ever add to that? By the end of the game, could we have like 20 continues down our leg?
No, I don't think so. I think the way it works is like obviously you can only bring back the amount of your death counter by beating certain enemies and stuff in the game, so you can sort of come down less, but you can't sort of de-age or anything like that.
Okay.
Once you die, you're always going to die at least. You're always going to age up at least once, so you can't sort of extend that. And I just think once you've unlocked the abilities, it just means you're hopefully going to die a lot less, which is the game, I think.
Yeah, well, I thought
all one run and all one age.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was like, you know, when you start, you've got 5 or 6 continues, whatever it is. But then I thought maybe as we said, by the end, I think it's, what do you go from, oh gosh, now I've forgotten, is it 67 to 72 or something? Or it might be a big gap. But what I was thinking...
It depends how many death count in your death counter. If you've got 5 or 6 running up by that, but if you get it down to 3, you can go from like 65 to 68 if you've got it down to 3 at that point.
Oh, okay. I didn't realise they were... Okay, I didn't realise it was interactive like that. My hope was that, you know, as you go further, maybe you unlock more coins and that increases the amount of steps or decreases the amount of age, if you're with me. Anyway.
So it's just your death count. So if you're always going to go up, but you can decrease that death counter from like 8 back down to 2 if you have a good run and you start defeating some enemies and bringing that down to like 2. So you can be looking at almost certain death at 68, and if you're up at 8, you're going to die at 75, or you can, you know, get that down to 2 and age up to 70 and still be fine. So
yeah, okay, nice one. Well, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you for explaining it to me. But as I said, I'm only maybe an hour or so into Sifu. I'm absolutely loving it. I can't wait to get back into it. But Steve, do you have any sort of a number in your mind? Where's this game sitting for you right now?
Oh, it's hard to say at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't want to push you too early to score it.
Not being too frustrated with it at this stage, but even that, I should preface that saying with Returnal, I did sort of almost quit Returnal at level 3 for quite a while, so I would have given that game maybe a 7 when I quit, and then give it a 10 by the time I platinum it. So I won't give it a score yet, but just
fair enough.
Enjoying it and love where it's going, love the art style, love the combat, love everything about it at the moment.
You and I both, man. I absolutely love it. And I'll be honest, as soon as I'm finished on air with you this evening, I'm firing it back up and giving it another go, mate. That's how keen I am on it. But early days, first impressions, but the first impressions from me, 2 big thumbs up.
And just to say to everyone that we are playing this early with a pre-order access, which is 48-hour access only. It's I think it comes out on the 8th, which is what?
Tomorrow. No, tomorrow. Today's the 7th. In about 3 hours, it officially launches.
There you go, yeah. So I had this yesterday, and I think Troy got it today, so I've had a little bit more time to play.
Yes, that you have, man. I picked it up today, did the live Let's Installs there on the channel if that sort of thing grabs you. It's a very small game too, I'll note. I want to say it was 7-point-something gig on the PS5 and 16-point-something gig on the PS4. It's pretty good. If you've got internet bandwidth constraints, this game's all right for you. It's no Call of Duty.
It's not, definitely not.
All right. Moving on, Game 5. This will just be quick, but it's Demon's Souls. And I just wanted to point out to everybody, this game, if you didn't read it or didn't do the research in it, I have been able to, on this is the stream from Friday morning, 10 a.m. Friday mornings now. We're doing live Let's Plays each and every week. This is from Friday just gone. But once I understood, and you may already know this, Steve, I'm sure you've read it somewhere, and I don't like to read things. But the world tendencies, what is it, the white or dark, the eyeball that sits above the level, like they've got a word for it, and I'm just, it's world something.
It's world tendencies, isn't it?
Tendencies, that's it. Thank you, mate. You've nailed it. And I didn't realise that once you die a lot in a level, that tendency goes black, and that actually adds more bad guys. It makes it harder, and I didn't know that was a thing. Yep. I thought I was getting worse at the game. No, the game was getting harder. So the point is, on Friday, I was playing a save that I went back and replayed from the start, but knowing about this world tendency thing, and I think this save is about 6 hours in, and I've downed 3 bosses, and the other one, I was 35 hours in, and I'd only downed 4 bosses. bosses. So a significant improvement, and that's just understanding the world tendency thing. So I just wanted to hang a lantern on it. If you played Demon's Souls and put it down, thought maybe it was a bit too hard for you, just look into that world tendency thing, because once you understand how that works, the game is significantly easier. It's notably easier once you understand that system. So if you'll put off dual difficulty, I say maybe just read up on that system and then go back and have another crack. Start a new game and have another crack. And it's significantly easier, as we were displaying here on the channel on Friday.
Actually, might I just say that your tactic versus the spider is identical to the tactic that I did to defeat it as well.
Oh, yeah, gotta love those cheesing tactics. It's the only way I can do my Demon Souls, my Dark Souls, and my Bloodborns. I've got to find the cheap shots, and I'm all about it.
If I can't import another character in there to help me with a boss, don't you bet your ass on YouTubing how to defeat this boss easy.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm all about it, but it's so rewarding when you get to pull it off. All right. That was all I had for that game, which means it's time for, I have a little thing here somewhere, some sort of, here. News? Story one this evening, coming from IGN, Sony buys Bungie for $3.6 billion.
$3.6 billion. So hot off the press of Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, we see Sony buying a Bungie, which may look like a knee-jerk reaction to them doing that, but obviously these deals are well in development before they even happen, so there's no way it's just a reaction to Microsoft's acquisition. But I think it's a weird one because Bungie only just became independent of Activision and stuff themselves, only a couple of years ago, was it?
Yeah, 2018, I want to say.
Yeah, so not that long. So it's a bit strange that they've already decided to be bought up now by Sony. So they like to slot themselves out of it because they've gone Microsoft into Activision, now into Sony. So, but I think in terms of what Sony's doing, I think it's not a bad move because I think, they've tried a lot with their online service games and stuff, Destruction All Stars. Great game. And stuff like that. And they haven't really nailed that. And if it's one thing that Bungie's good at is their live service game. Destiny is, if not the best online service game going out there at the moment, in terms of the way it works, in terms of player engagement and all that kind of stuff. And obviously speaking as someone who's gotten back into Destiny 2 recently and with their expansion about to come out in a couple of weeks as well, which is looking really good, I think this is a great acquisition for Sony. I'm not sure what it does to Bungie. I think...
reading the terms of the deal, it sounds like it's no change for Bungie, just a huge influx of cash. I'm sure they're stoked.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Destiny 2 is going to keep going, obviously across all consoles and that, and they've already said that's what's going to happen. Whether there's a Destiny 3 and we start having conversations then about whether, Destiny 3 is an exclusive to Sony or whether they start developing other first-person shooters. But I think the main reason for this acquisition, the Sony point of view, is that live service game. I mean, they've always been really good at their single-player games, your Spider-Man, your God of War, your Uncharted and stuff. But what they don't have is that online service game, and they're not very good at that part of it. So if they can sort of nail down that, then I think maybe that's where they're going with their business model, and they can see some, they can work, other developers, say like an Uncharted or a Last of Us, can work with Bungie if they're going to do an online version of their games, and they can use Bungie's technology and their know-how from their staff that are really good at this and been doing it for so long to actually create better experiences online for their games. So
definitely,
I mean, that's probably where I see that. That's my opinion. That's probably why I think they've probably got Bungie, not so much for exclusivity, but more so what they can bring to their other games.
Yeah, exactly. The one other comment I've read around a few places is saying that it's just a negotiation chip. When Microsoft eventually try to pull Call of Duty, they can just threaten to pull Destiny, and it's maybe some of that one. I can see a bit of logic there. That makes sense. But I've had my thinking cap on, Steve. I was racking my brain because I couldn't make any sense of this deal. I couldn't see the angle, but I think my brain finally broke and gave me the answer. Are you ready for? Here's what I think.
Go for it.
Here's what I think we're going to see in, I don't know, give it a couple of years. Once PSVR 2 is settled and established, I honestly think we're going to see PlayStation Home 2 developed by Bungie. I'm here and I said it first. Couple of years.
Realms of possibility.
I know it's not, man. Think about it. Really think about it. They are awesome in online groups, everything about it. If you ever played PlayStation Home, if you just imagine Bungie getting hold of that and actually shaking good, engaging content out of it, to me, that's a match made in heaven. That is exactly what I would be doing. I would be tasking a small subset of Bungie right now. Hey, guys, start working out what PlayStation Home 2 is going to be for us. We want to launch it in, 3-4 years. Get cracking. I think that could be amazing.
Well, also going back to what I said, I don't necessarily need Bungie to do it. It's the fact that they've got that know-how from Bungie and the code and all that stuff. Like, they don't necessarily need Bungie working on it. They can outsource that to whoever did Home 1, and they could then use the expertise from Bungie to create a better experience. They don't necessarily need Bungie themselves, but obviously Bungie, they know what they're doing, so they might be able to do it quicker and cheaper or whatever. So, who knows what they could do, but I just think it's for $3.6 billion, I think they've actually got themselves quite a bargain with Bungie, because I think when it comes to making games, they are, like, in terms of first-person shooters, if they want to somehow create a first-person shooter with their know-how, that's one of the best feeling first-person shooters you can play at the moment is still Destiny 2. Like, nothing beats that feeling behind a controller and, popping heads like that.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think in recent time is probably even Halo, which is their old baby. So,
yeah.
Like, you're not going to do, wrong by having Bungie on your side, I don't think.
No, but yeah, for me, it's $3.6 billion of VR acquisition. That's my read on it anyway. Time will tell. Who knows? Story 2 this week, also from IGN. GTA 6 confirmed. Rockstar finally says it's in development. Now, I'm not sure why people need the development studios to tell them they're working on it. I think anybody from 6 miles back could look at that and go, I bet Rockstar's working on GTA 6, and it's a safe bet. So nice to have them confirm it, but I don't really think we needed it.
No, I don't think we needed it. I think we're still looking at this. This game's not going to be out for 2025, maybe late 2024.
Yeah, who knows?
Especially with the next news story, I think.
Yes.
The fact that we've got, GTA 5 imminent as next-gen releases, God help us, that game has been on every bloody console since the Nintendo Entertainment System, by the sounds of things.
Yep.
At this point.
Yeah.
Like the fact that in development, I still don't know where they're going to go with it, what they're going to do. Do they stick with 3 protagonists, or they go back to 1? Like, what? I don't know what they're going to do with the fact that the world's so crazy at the moment with COVID and stuff. Like, what could they possibly do that's satire that's not we haven't already seen in real life at the moment? Like, real life's such a shambles at the moment that it's a satire in itself.
That's a great call, man. I hadn't considered that. That's a great call, though, man. Yeah.
So Rockstar and like GTA has always been about satirical like versions of our world, but our world's so crazy at the moment. Like, what can they actually do that's going to shock us and make us laugh, as opposed to just not come across up as groan worthy? Like, it's hard to say, but I mean, I trust the guys there. On the last game, Red Dead Redemption 2 was awesome story wise.
Well, hold on, let me hold you up right there. That was Dan Houser that wrote it, and he's left. I got to say, man, I am skeptical, as all the great writers that they had that have done all their, all the previous games, Red Dead Redemption 2, the GTA 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the GTAs written by the Houser brothers, and I'm blanking on Dan Houser and his other brother. He left a few years earlier. He left after GTA 5 come out. I'm blanking on his name, but when he left, I was really nervous about Red Dead Redemption 2, but Dan pulled that off, but now Dan's gone as well. So I don't know what storytellers are left at Rockstar and what we can expect. I'm hopeful for the best, believe me. I love my Rockstar games and I want it to be awesome, but it is worth noting the guys who wrote the big ones aren't there anymore, so it's up in the air.
Sam Houser, that's his brother, isn't it?
Sam Houser, you've nailed it, Steve. Perfect. Yes, Sam Houser left a few years earlier after GTA 5. Speaking of GTA 5, story 3, GTA 5 and GTA Online, PS5 and Xbox Series X dated, finally, March 15th. Come on, March 15th. Who doesn't want to be Trevor torturing that bloke again?
First of all, I'd just like to congratulate you on the segue there. I did help you out a little bit by putting the two stories together this week in terms of their content, but no, well done.
Thank you very much.
Mate, it's good to see a date on this finally. It was supposed to hit, I think it was November last year. We were supposed to see the next versions of GTA.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
But, I mean, call me crazy, I'm probably going to play it. Like, I actually, to be honest, I have to say I actually haven't finished the campaign of GTA PS5 yet, only because every time I get close to the end of it, I hear there's like rumblings of a new version coming out. I'm like, I'll hold off for that. It's happened for me 3 bloody generations now.
I was going to say, listen to this. I finished the story on was it 360 and was it 360 and PS3?
It was 360. It was 360.
Yeah, I finished it on 360 PS3. I finished it on PS4 and Xbox One, and you'll be damn sure I'm going to finish it again on PS5 and the Xbox Series X. I'm going to have 6 playthroughs, people. I love this game. Woo!
Oh, mate, it's a great game. And the fact that it's finally going to, this is my only downside. Like, I go back to play it now, it still runs at your 30 frames per second. I'm sorry, we know we can't play games at 30. It's 60 or 120.
60 or forget about it. I agree, mate.
You can't play the other way. Like, I don't even care if they're dropping my Dying Light. I don't care if you're dropping it to 1080. I'm playing at 60 silky frames smooth. Like if you
are you playing Dying Light at 120? Isn't Dying Light at 120?
No, I think it's running it. It feels like 120 because it's very smooth. I think it's only 60 at 1080.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. You're the one with the 120 monitor. I defer to you on all those comments. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, Dying Light, they gave you, just to go back to Dying Light, I think it was a quality mode, which is high graphic quality. Then they got a fidelity mode, which is your 4K at 30, which is terrible. It looks crisp if you're just standing still. But then you just bump it to your 1080, 50, and it just runs like a dream. Anyway, to be able to play G.E.A. 5 in that world with, like, hopefully up to textures plus 60 frames plus, I don't think they've actually announced what they're going to do, but it looks like it's 4K and 60, is going to be insane. I think that's going to be the perfect way to play the game. I think I will probably finally finish the game at that. I might even delve into a bit of G.E.A. online, because I think the online stuff, all the time on PlayStation, it's always telling me in my highlights when I turn my console about what's happening in G.E.A., what's happening in G.E.A. It's either G.E.A. or Fortnite that they've got updates in. And G.E.A., just the stuff would be fun, but I'm like, I don't really want to play a game sitting at, subpar resolution plus, 30 frames per second. But if this game's running at 60 frames per second, I can do all that stuff. And it looks like they're doing a whole bunch of new career stuff for the multiplayer to onboard new players. I'm like, I could be into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and I'll just throw out there for all the PS Plus subscribers that are going to get into GTA Online. Oh, have you got me, man? Hello? Have we got a comms issue? Hey, man, you got me? Hello?
Hello.
I can hear you, Steve. Steve, I can hear you, man, but you need to disconnect and reconnect again, I reckon. Disconnect, reconnect. Oh, there he goes. Well, Steve's off the line. I'll point out this line I've highlighted here in the story from, this is from Eurogamer. And they've stated in there, expect textures and draw distance upgrade, HDR options and ray tracing. Rockstar have confirmed for these ones. Are you back with us, Steve?
I am. You got me?
I've got you, man. Loud and clear. Good work.
Beautiful.
I think we're done with the GTA. We're both hyped and looking forward to March 15. Oh, no, what I was saying was PlayStation Plus subscribers, you've got from now until March 1st, so 2 weeks before the game comes out, they're giving away, if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, a free $1 million in online GTA Online currency. So you just need to go on to the PlayStation Store. If you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, go into the deals section and you can get a free $1 million in GTA Online. Even if you haven't played it yet, you download that now, adds it to your account, and then if you start playing on March 15th, you'll start with $1 million in the bank.
Oh, this sucks for me because I've got it on Xbox, and I know I think you get a free upgrade if you've got the Series X and you've got the old version. And I kind of want to transfer my save because I'm halfway through the game. I don't really want to start from scratch again, so it does suck because I do want all those free dollars, but I'm going to probably have to play it on the Series X, especially because the hard drive space and all that jazz as well.
Yeah, man, I hear you. I'll be playing it on both consoles, and I can't wait. All right, so that's GTA. It's just mere months away, but I got to tell you, Elden Ring's coming out first, and I'm a little bit more excited about getting my hands on that one. Next up, we have from Kotaku, Ghostwire Tokyo turns you into an urban wizard, I guess. Steve, what's going on here?
Mate, yeah, there was a state of play on this week for Ghostwire Tokyo. I didn't quite get to see it live. I probably watched it half an hour later and watched a few reacts to it as well. But I was quite excited for this game because it's made by Shinji Mikami, who's the guy that brought us, what's it called? The Evil Within series.
Yes.
which I loved both those games so much. I love my third-person sort of survival horror games. This looks like it's taken a little bit of departure from that and being a bit more action-based and open world in Tokyo with some, magician-y powers and crazy-looking enemies, which I think Shinji Megami's known for. But the stuff I saw, there was a lot of the same kind of enemies floating around. Whether the full game's got a bit more diverse enemy type, I don't know, but there was a lot of the same enemies once that initial shock of that enemy. Seeing it for the first time, you see it for the 100th time. I'm not sure whether that's going to wear thin, but the gameplay did look fun. I mean, it's weird that this is still a game that essentially the studio is owned by Microsoft, but we're seeing it exclusive on PlayStation. So,
are you concerned as I am that we're going to end up with a death loop situation where it looks good on the outside and then you get there and you're like, oh my God, it's only half a game. I wonder if that's because Microsoft own them now. Are we going to get the same thing here? Are they going to go, you know what, just give them half a game, guys. We'll fulfill the contract with only half a game.
I don't know. I kind of trust Shinji Megami because I really, really liked Evil Within and Evil Within 2. And I think if they can kind of create similar tension and stuff with this game, and I think the looks of it kind of appeal to me as well. I'm not sure about a full open world game by these guys. I know they did sort of flirt with sort of small open world areas in Evil Within 2, which I did really enjoy. But I don't know whether it's got a good progression system or not. I think it's shiny. It looks cool. There's a lot of games coming out, and I think I'm still going to be playing Elden Ring when this game comes out.
Sorry, what's the date on this? Do we have the release date?
It's March. They did release it. I think it was March. I want to say March 24th.
Oh, here we go. March 21st. Ghostwire Tokyo is set to launch March 21st, 2022. Sorry, mate. Continue.
There you go. So we're going from a heavy March, and it looks like, from a heavy February of releases to quite a few games coming out in March as well. There's not one that's on this list or in our news or anything, but I think Shadow Warrior 3, which I really enjoyed the Shadow Warrior games for what they are. They're like
I don't think I've ever played them.
Oh, Troy, you're missing out. They're like a really fun, violent, just sort of grindy Destiny meets Doom meets. It's a really fun game. Okay. A weird main character that's Asian. It's got a really sort of quite a funny accent in the game as well. It's very over the top, but very over the top humor, dick jokes here, there, and everywhere as far as you can see. But it can be laugh out loud every now and again. Sometimes a little bit cringe, but the third game in the series actually looks really good from what I've seen in the gameplay, and that comes out in March as well. So, and that could be the game that takes me away from playing something like this, which might be a bit more of a unique experience. But I don't know, being a gamer, being a bit of a whale, I'll probably pick this up and play it just so we can see what it looks like. But it sucks that it's Bethesda and it's PlayStation, because let's face it, if it was on Xbox day in, day out, we've got this on Game Pass. I wouldn't have to fork over any money at all.
Oh, that Game Pass. Who knows? Maybe they'll launch Project Spartacus soon and we'll get it in there.
Maybe, but I think we'll probably have to wait a year before the exclusivity runs out, and I've got this on Xbox for free. But I'll probably play it because it looks cool, and I'll wait for some early impressions and reviews to go up. And if those seem positive, then I might give it a go. If they're negative, then maybe we'll give it a wait, because it's a pretty heavy period at the moment, especially with Feb coming.
Yeah.
All the good.
No, Elden Ring. I just can't see beyond it, to be honest.
Tell me about it.
All right, moving on. What do we got here? Next up, the final news story for the week. This is more a point of interest than something I've experienced myself, but Hideo Kojima has teamed up with Amazon, Audible? Amazon, doing their own, his own podcast, and it's exclusive to, now is it Audible? I want to say it's Audible, but I'm going to get it wrong. Yeah, Amazon's Audible service, perfect. Yeah, Audible original, written right there. But the only problem is it's Japanese language only. I would absolutely love to hear Hideo Kojima's take on anything. I would absolutely subscribe to this podcast if it was in English. Unfortunately, Japanese only. But I'm hopeful that with Audible Original, with Amazon's money, maybe they're going to give us some sort of English translation. Maybe?
I would really hope so. I'd love to hear what he has to say about the whole Metal Gear series. I'd love to hear his take on the whole Metal Gear 5 controversy and him being booted from Konami and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear what his thoughts on the future of the Metal Gear franchise, what he's got, cooking in the future, whether it's a Death Stranding 2 or something completely different. I hope it's something different, because I love that mind of that bloke because he just comes up with the most random stuff ever for his games, but they're always compelling, and I always love playing them. And the fact that we didn't hear much about Death Stranding, and it came out the same year we'd heard all the stuff about it. It was just, I think, he could have something going at the moment. We don't even know, and it's going to be announced at E3. We might get it by the end of the year, and that's exciting. But unfortunately, with the podcast, we're not going to know anything about it unless it's translated or gives us, some kind of video with some subtitles in English or something. It's quite unfortunate.
It is. I would love to see and hear it. And just the one other thing I'll note is that it's noted in there that he will be interviewing people from the world of film and people from the world of music. So it's not even necessarily only video games. He will be branching out into other areas of the entertainment realm and speaking to people. So who knows what kind of conversations he'll have. I would love to hear the type of questions that he asks a film director, for example. I don't know. It would just be a fascinating conversation to hear him explore it,
It would be. And he's never been shy about his love for Western cinema and stuff. I follow him on Instagram, and all of his posts are always about movie posters and stuff like that. He's posted one recently of just the Doctor Strange multiverse of madness and all that stuff. He just loves his American theatre and stuff, and I think he thrives on that, and he tries to bring that to a lot of his games as well, which is why he's that nice blend of that, the Kojima magic with sort of contemporary sort of American movies and stuff as well, which is why I think his stuff has always been so palatable to the general audience, because it's just so relatable and stuff as well as his craziness. It works really well together.
Yeah, the guy's a creative genius, and I want anything he puts out, I want to be able to experience. So come on, Audible, give us an English translation. Give us something, please. Come on. All right, that's going to do it for the please. That's going to do it for the news this week. But as we always do at the end of the news segment, I feel like we almost need a bumper or something for this, Steve. Put your thinking cap on. But right now, let's do it. It's the Game Informer's list of the new releases coming out this very week. Upcoming. First one, Ollie Ollie World is coming to the PS5, Xbox Series X and X, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch. February 8th, that's tomorrow. Ollie Ollie World. Steve, it's Game Informer have rated it an 8. Do you have any thoughts you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, well, looks like a lot of reviews have been really positive on this thing. IGN gave it a 9, GameSpot gave it a 9. I played the old Ollie Ollie, it wasn't Ollie World, it was Ollie Ollie something.
I think it was just called Ollie Ollie, wasn't it?
Might have just been Ollie Ollie. There was a sequel as well. It might have just been Ollie Ollie 2. But Ollie Ollie World looks like it's a sort of a side-scrolling skateboarding game with sort of roller coastery type levels where you're going through them in 2D and really cool art style and just one more time sort of kind of gameplay. And I think I could be really into this. It's got Game Pass written all over it, so I might just wait till it hits Game Pass. But it's looking like a lot of fun, and a lot of people are speaking really positively of it. So
just quickly, Steve, what's your history with the skating genres? Are you a Tony Hawk's guy? Were you a skate guy? Did you like neither?
I love Tony Hawk's. I've played most of the Tony Hawk's 1, 2, 3 Underground.
You were a big fan of the Tony Hawk's Ride controller, if I remember correctly, weren't you?
Oh, mate, that was my favourite controller probably of all time. The controller, I snapped both my ankles, 3 reconstructions. But no, that's not serious, but there's probably a few stories out there with similar ankle issues with that game. But no, I did enjoy Skate. Skate 2, I think, was the one I put most of my time into.
Yeah, you and I both, man. Yep.
Yeah, so like a good arcadey sort of skating game, I think I could see myself getting into. It's February and there's a ton of games coming out, and it's probably going to have to wait.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And then next up, we've already touched on it, is Sifu officially launches tomorrow. As I said, we've had a crack at it today, and the Let's Install's available on the channel. Game Informer have put it at a 7.25. It's a bit early for me to rate it, but I feel it's sitting higher than that. But as I said, I'm only, an hour-ish in, so take that one with a grain of salt.
I did watch their review on YouTube, and I wasn't completely in agreement with some of the stuff they said, so I was sort of more on the higher aspect of like the IGNs and stuff that have been giving it a 9. So yeah.
Very good. I'm enjoying it. I say check it out if you're into your very stylish. And that's a good point. Kind of a bit obscure, but what we were just saying there about the Tony Hawk's, the very arcade skater, like that really fun arcade feel. It's like, I cannot skateboard. I'm not a skateboarder. I would fall off in a heartbeat and break something, as Steve just alluded to. But I can play a Tony Hawk's game and feel like, oh, yeah, I could definitely skate. Look at this. That's how Sifu makes me feel about fighting. I'm not a fighter at all. Don't put me in a fight. But you give me this, and it's like arcade fighter, and I suddenly feel like, oh, yeah, look at me. I'm Keanu Reeves.
Until level 2, Troy, it'll hit you back there.
Perfect. All right. Next up, we have Action Arcade Wrestling coming to the Switch February 9. I know nothing. Steve?
I also know nothing, but I do like my old wrestling games on the Nintendo 64. Your WCW vs NWO Revenge and all that kind of stuff. So if it's a nice, cool little action wrestling game, I could actually be into it if it's quite cheap and doesn't take up too much hard drive space.
Fair enough, man. Keep your eyes peeled. Next up, February 9 on the Switch is Backbone. It appears to be the main character is Fox, I think. No idea about this game. Steve?
Mate, I'm the same. It looks like you got a fox, a raccoon, and some kind of dog creature. I've got no idea.
No idea, but I guess you're looking for a spine. Next up, Crossfire X, coming to the Xbox Series X and S. Xbox One, I guess you could say it's an Xbox exclusive. February 10, few days away. Crossfire X. Steve, do you have any insights?
I know a little bit. I know that it's mostly been a multiplayer game up until now, and I believe this is releasing with a single-player campaign made by Remedy themselves.
Oh, okay.
So Remedy have been in charge of just the single-player campaign for this game, which we haven't heard a whole bunch about, but I do trust Remedy, being of
definitely
Alan Wake, Max Payne, and Control fame. This is a first-person shooter, so it's I'm not highly high on what it could be like, because they've obviously always been sort of into that more third-person action genre. So I'd be interested to see what reviewers think of this, and I'm not sure what the price is, but being on Xbox One, I'm hoping it may be a Game Pass game. I'm not 100% sure if that's the case. It would be amazing if it is, because I will definitely give it a go.
Yeah, nice one. You and I both, Steve.
Not interested in the multiplayer whatsoever, but definitely interested in even if it's just like a quick 6-hour campaign done by Remedy.
Nice, yep. Sign me up if that's the case. Next up, we have Edge of Eternity, PS5, Xbox X and S, PS4, Xbox One coming out February 10. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, what do we think this is? Japanese role-playing game?
I was going to say JRPG. In droves, like just looking at that art.
Yeah, just off the front cover.
It cannot be anything but.
Very good.
Quickly, I just clicked into that game and just saw related articles. Crossfire X takes point for Xbox Game Pass February offerings. There you go.
Yes! Love it. Perfect work, Steve. All right, next up is Cardboard Kings. Cardboard Kings on PC, February 10. I got to say, that looks like one that probably shouldn't be on that list. I don't know. That looks very much like a Steam shovelware game to me off that artwork.
It really does. Is that a game based on Nintendo's Labo?
Oh, I thought it was based on what's that street game they do with the card? 3-card Monty, is it? You know, the street hustler guy. I thought she was a street hustler. I thought she had a platform. Step up, and I'm gonna do tricks for you. That's just going off the artwork on the front cover. That was my assumption.
I would go with that, but Nintendo did do Nintendo Labo, which was just cardboard they sold to everyone for extreme amounts of money, and we still bought it. So,
Yes, indeed. Next up, we have a whole swath of Kingdom Hearts coming to the Nintendo Switch on February 10. We've got Kingdom Hearts 2.8, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 Remix, and Kingdom Hearts 3, all Switch-bound February 10. Myself, I'm not a big Kingdom Hearts guy. Steve, any interest?
No, not a huge fan. I did play Kingdom Hearts 3 on the Xbox back in the day, and I think it got a Xbox Series X patch to make it run 60, so I jumped back into it quickly just to check out the Pirates of the Caribbean level I was up to at the time, and it's cool, but, as I said, not a massive Kingdom Hearts fan. All the weird stuff they do that's not the Disney stuff is very strange and very hard to follow.
It is indeed, isn't it? Next up, we have Known by Heart on PC, and I've got no idea. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, what's that? A walking simulator, and it's about a bunch of teenagers. Cover art guesswork at its finest.
Yeah, I like it. You got that guy who's very excited to have a guitar in his hand on the cover art there. So,
Yeah. Good on him. We love it. And finally this week, coming to PC on February 11th, is Lost Ark. And I know nothing.
Man, I'm gonna guess that he's lost his Ark, and you're gonna find it.
Fair enough. Ark Hunter coming to a PC near you soon. All right, where does that bring us to? Now that brings us to the old standoff. What do you think about that? Standoff? I'm looking for my standoff opener.
Who will fight?
Oh. Who will fight? Who will fight? All right, here we go. Now, bear with me, everybody. It's a bit of an experiment this week. What I'm going to try and do is that, and what we're going through this week is the best game openers. We're talking about the best, first 20-ish minutes of games. First up, we've got the Uncharted 2 train sequence. I'm going to go wild and just jump in about 2 minutes and let that footage roll. This is from AF Guides HD on YouTube. So thank you very much for supplying us this footage. Steve, any thoughts?
Yeah, I guess there's opening. We've obviously got a lot of openings on this, and there's a lot more opening games we probably could have put on this list, but these are the ones we've gone with tonight. But Uncharted 2, it didn't take out our best Uncharted moments last week, but it is one of the best opening to a games I think I've ever played in terms of sequels. Like you play Uncharted 1, and then this thing took it to a new level. The fact that you have no idea what's going on when you start this level. You're in you're upside down in a train, you're climbing it. It sort of interweaves that opening of the train and Drake sort of being knocked out, going interweaves between the heist mission as well, and you come back to the train, and it's just such a memorable opening experience in a game. And especially I think it's probably the best opening in an Uncharted game, even though we've had some, better Uncharted games potentially, even though this is probably one of my favourites. This is still probably the best opening I think Uncharted's had.
I agree with you, mate. The best Uncharted opening, and for me, it was just fantastic. It cemented the, oh my God, Uncharted just nails cinematic, set piece moments. It was beautiful. I was already excited for Uncharted 2, but sitting down and having that as the opening 20 minutes just set the stage beautifully, and I was all about it from the get-go. It was a perfect opener to that game. I loved it. Big fan.
Mate, it really was. It's not the only Naughty Dog game on this list.
Look out. All right, next up we have, is this going to play for us? Here we go. This is the God of War on the PS5. Kratos, I don't know how do you say this guy's Boulder? Boss fight.
Boulder. Yep, you got it.
Beautiful. It was one hell of an intro because if memory serves, Steve, isn't this the first time you get hold of his new weapon with the returning thing?
You do with the Leviathan axe as well, but he turns up at your door, he gives you a couple of punches, and you think, oh, this guy's all right. And you sort of hit him back, and then he does the whole famous line of now it's my turn, and he just absolutely uppercuts the hell out of you over your house into a tree, and then all of a sudden you're like, who the heck is this guy? You're the God of War, and this guy's just completely destroyed you. It ensues this massive battle with trees and axes and dodging, and my God, Troy, what an opening to a game. The whole thing's shot with that old God of War one-shot as well, which is the whole game shot this whole one-shot camera perspective, and it's just an absolute beautiful opening, and it shows the brutality of Kratos. It immediately establishes this guy's an absolute threat to Kratos as well, which is very hard to do considering Kratos has, defeated gods, especially at the start of God of War 3 where he's climbing a goddamn tree to fight someone. But yeah, what an absolute opening.
It's a brilliant opening, mate. And here's just to elaborate a bit further on your point, I've got a question for you. Can you name me another game, and I can't, name me another game whereby the game opens with you at home and the head bad guy comes and knocks on your front door? Like, hello, talk about the adventurers come knocking. Come on in, boys.
Mate, it's so good. The fact that God of War, it looks as good as it does as well and has the production values behind it. It absolutely sells this opening to a T. Like it isn't the absolute start. Like I think you start a bit slow, where you chop down a tree and show the strength of Kratos, and you come back to your hut, and then this just happens out of nowhere.
Yes.
It's just like, oh my God, I'm down for the rest of this game. Like no matter what you say, this opening set up that game perfectly.
It did. Couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more. Fantastic opening. Well done there. All right, next up on the list. Oh, where is it? Here we go. We have Spider-Man, the PS4's opening cutscene. I'll just jump in a little bit here. Oh, I should say this is thanks to, I'm going to say they're Knocktober. I'm not sure. The YouTube channel Knocktober, you can see it there. Thank you very much for allowing us to use this very clip. Steve, over to you, mate.
Yeah, this again, like just high energy, like it doesn't, hold back at all in like relation to what you're doing. You are Spider-Man within minutes of this game starting. It does a slow pan throughout his little apartment block, and you can see that he's sort of been Spider-Man for a while, just based on just the stuff placed in his apartment. And then he's got to make the choice to pay his bills or jump out the window. You jump out the window, and straight away you are swinging as Spider-Man through New York City with helicopters flying and police cars driving towards the threat where you're going, and all of a sudden you're straight into combat. And then not long after you're into combat, you're in like a building and it's teaching you the mechanics, and then you're straight into your first boss fight against Kingpin, and it's just an absolute perfect way to start a Spider-Man game. It couldn't have been better as far as I'm concerned.
I agree completely, mate. I love the opener. You were there and you felt like Spider-Man from the get-go, mate. It was great. Absolutely brilliant. All right, next up.
Next one.
Next up, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and this one is thanks to John Morales, I want to say. John Morales, thank you very much, sir, for allowing us to use this very clip. Steve, over to you.
Mate, yeah, this is another one, like a recent-ish game, but on the Switch, and I think it was a launch title for the Switch, and just everyone was sort of wondering how Zelda was going to go, and then we'd been playing Horizon for a while, and Horizon was cool, and then you just chucked this Switch game in, you were in this tiny little dark cave, and you got your little tablet for the first time, and then you jumped up and exited, and then you just saw Hyrule and its like expanse, and it's just like, oh my God, this is what we've got this game, and it's not to realize that everything you're seeing out there is explorable, and it goes in not only one of the most epic openings in terms of what you see, but then to have one of the best tutorial levels I think I've ever played, where it's like it doesn't even feel like a tutorial. It's just like telling you to go to this whole little sort of small but massive area of Hyrule just to learn all the mechanics of the game, and it just does it brilliantly. It just sort of leaves you to your own devices to do it, and it does it really well.
And as we've just seen there, you can see it on screen now, it does the big opener, and it's there, and as you can see, the end of the game is shown right there. The target, the end of the game. It's as soon as it starts, bang, that's where you're headed. And it just reminds you of the whole game. Absolutely fantastic foreshadowing. I love everything about it. All right, next up we have Ghosts of Tsushima. And this is thanks to Dan Allen Gaming's YouTube channel. Thank you very much for allowing us to use this one. Steve, over to you.
I remember the one main thing from this thing, which was the title sequence. There was that sort of stuff on the beach with the fighting, and you're learning the mechanics of the game, and there's arrows coming in, there's people dying around you, it's nighttime, and there's a whole bunch of lighting effects going on. But it wasn't until you're sort of riding through that field on your horse, and he puts his hand down through the flowers, and then that Sucker Punch, made by Sucker Punch Games, comes up, and then it goes to Tsushima, and it's like you just get goosebumps. It was just a magical way to start a game, and then you just continue riding your horse through that to your first objective. But like in recent memory, that was one of the better ways to start a game, and one of probably almost the best title sequence to a game I've seen. Like we're saying openings, but in terms of title sequences, I can't remember better in recent memory.
And of course, a big shout out to the Ghost of Tsushima opening here, because the music they used to really set the stage and have that really traditional sort of Japanese sound on the intro, like they brought it visually, they brought it narratively, but they also brought it musically and just sold it as a complete package. It was beautiful.
They really did. That's probably the right word for it. It's just beautiful. Like it was just like a piece of art the way that came through. Just as you said, the music, the visuals of it all, just the movement of the character throughout the whole scene was just absolutely perfection.
Absolutely, mate. Next up on the list, The Last of Us, and it's the reopening version of the opening sequence. And this is off the, I'm going to say, Mo Guns Jackson YouTube channel. Thank you very much for allowing us to use the footage here today in the standoff. Over to you, Steve.
Oh, dude, what a start to a game. Like, you don't, like, going into all the marketing stuff, you knew what kind of game you thought you were going to be playing with The Last of Us at the start, and then to start the game as Sarah, this little girl in the start of the apocalypse. And the scene that really sells it for me is the news on the TV is showing a news reporter reporting on, like, what's going on, and then an explosion happens on the news on the TV, and then you look out your window and you can see the explosion out your window, and you're like, oh God, this is happening.
That's world building and a half. Yep.
Oh, dude. And then you go downstairs and then you're sort of wondering where Joel is, your dad, and then he comes running in, and then your neighbor comes in, you have to shoot him, and then all of a sudden you're Joel and you've got to protect Sarah throughout this whole opening, and you're running from the zombies, and just you're driving the car with your brother as well. And like the zombies all come in, you run it, and then there's police coming and shooting people, and then it's not spoiled at this point, but the fact that throughout this whole series, right at the end, that Sarah gets shot and killed in your arms, like, and especially as a father, like, you really feel that moment, and it is like gut wrenching to see his daughter die in his arms, and then to sort of wake up. Like, the whole section sets up the game beautifully. The whole start of an apocalypse is done, I reckon, absolutely to perfection. And I don't think you get a better start to it than The Last of Us.
Here's what I give The Last of Us. They need an award. These guys have won. They got me to cry within 20 minutes of booting up their game.
Yep.
They win. I've never been so emotionally invested in a game, in the main character, within 20 minutes. That opening 20 minutes brought me through the entire experience. And to this day, I maintain this is the most emotional resonance we have in a video game opener ever. Steve, can you name something that made you cry within 20 minutes? A video game specifically, I'm talking about here.
No, I really can't. And it just does it every time. Like, replaying this game, that moment hits every single time, even when you know it's coming. And the fact that the relationship between him and his daughter is then sort of, like, it's put onto Joel throughout the whole game, with the relationship with Ellie as well. It's just brilliant storytelling. It's the best way to start a game, to set up that whole story, the whole franchise.
Yes.
Like, I think you don't get Joel without this start to the game with Sarah. Like, I don't think you get that relationship with Ellie.
No, you don't.
You do without this opening.
Correct. This is the linchpin of the entire franchise right here. This scene, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe they call back to this scene in The Last of Us 2 at all. I don't recall a reference to Sarah directly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve.
I don't believe so. I don't think they do. I think they just.
I think
they treat us with a bit more sort of, like, you know, intelligence. The fact that we remember this and we have to associate that relationship with Ellie. Like, they don't need to bang it over your head with it.
Yes, that's the whole point, man. The whole way through, The Last of Us 2, I am still thinking back to the time they killed my daughter and made me cry in 20 minutes. Like, doesn't matter how long it's been, playing any part of that franchise, I will always think of Sarah and how well Naughty Dog pulled off the start of this game. My hat is well and truly off to them.
If you ever want some good content, go and watch the. I think there's some kind of, like, documentary thing with Troy Baker about filming that scene.
Oh,
he does it the first time, and he thinks he's nailed it because he oversells the emotion of it.
Right.
And then I think Neil Druckmann that make him do the scene over and over and over again with the actress that plays his daughter as well. And by the end of it, they're just, like, so broken, but they just nail it at the end with the sort of.
They get that exhaustion.
Yeah, it's a great documentary. It doesn't go for that long. If you can find just that snippet where he's talking about this one scene where Neil was, like, directing him to sort of do less. But
hey, man, I'd love to watch the whole doco.
Oh, mate, it's absolutely brilliant with the way they sort of get this scene out. And when you watch it and you play the game again, you sort of really sort of see what they were going for. And it's just a testimony to Naughty Dog storytelling, and, like, the fact that I just love anything Naughty Dog really does. Like, we, talked about Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy last week, and, like, obviously Last of Us is their other franchise. Like, we said we'd want to see another Uncharted before we saw Last of Us, mainly because I don't think I could deal with the emotions that Last of Us brings me. I just the fun of an Uncharted game, but holy crap, this game, like, we talked how good Uncharted 2's opening was, this thing just blows out of the water.
I couldn't agree more, man. It's going to be hard to top this one. But next up, we have Mass Effect 2. And this, of course, is... oh, my gosh, I don't even know how to say this channel's name. I apologize. I'm going to go... VMA Power is my guess. My apologies. But thank you very much for allowing us to use the Mass Effect 2 opening scene. Over to you, Steve.
Oh, mate, this was just another one. Like, you'd play Mass Effect 1 and just sort of you become to know the Normandy as your ship and stuff, and straight away at the start of this game, they destroy the ship on you, mostly through cutscene, but then you take over as Shepard and you're walking through the ship as it's exploding. You're trying to get to, what's his name, Seth Green's character?
Joker.
You're trying to get to Joker, and it's emotional. You're just trying to get there. The ship's exploding, and then at the end of it, the whole thing goes, and you're floating in space. And you're like, did they just kill Shepard? Essentially, they did. You're like, what is going on? But that was such a good bombastic opening that I didn't see it coming after the way Mass Effect 1 finished.
Yes.
And just the way it sort of set up the whole new character creator thing where you could create new ability. I thought that was actually a very clever way to do it as well.
It was ingenious, and it allowed people to not play Mass Effect 1 and step straight into Mass Effect 2, have an understanding, and then build their own character and go from there. It was brilliant. Back to you.
Absolutely. So again, it was one of those ones just like for impact. It doesn't even go that long. This thing is not even in gameplay that long, but the impact it has, I think, just sort of speaks, volumes to the franchise. And this probably being, it's not probably, this is the best game in the franchise, Mass Effect 2, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree with you completely, man. And a big shout out, of course, I can't remember his in-game name. I always called him the Smoking Man, thanks to the X-Files. But the bad guy set up, from the start, and he's, of course, voiced by, and I'm blanking on his name, the dude who did the West Wing.
Yeah, Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen, nailed it. Good work. But beautiful voice acting from Martin Sheen across the game. Smoking Man, great intro to him as well. Loved it. And yes, fantastic opener. Mass Effect 2. You're right, Steve. The opener of the season. The series, so far. Let's see what the next Mass Effect has. I'm not holding my breath, though.
No, not for a couple of years anyway.
Indeed. All right, then our final nomination tonight for the standoff is the Dead Space 2 opening scene. And this is from the YouTube channel Jobo. I'm going to say Jobo. Thank you very much for allowing us to use this footage in tonight's standoff. Steve, your thoughts on Dead Space 2, mate?
Oh, mate, I love Dead Space 1. It was like one of the scariest games I've ever played, and it did sort of evoke a lot of that Resident Evil sort of stuff as well. But then jumping into Dead Space 2, which was slightly more action-based, this was like one of the perfect starts to a horror game I could have hoped for. Like, you start literally strapped to a straitjacket because they think your character's crazy. And then the ship gets attacked by aliens, and the guy that's like with you gets turned into an alien and essentially gets skewered through the face, and then you're trying to escape with this straitjacket attached to you. You eventually get out. It sort of teaches you the combat mechanics as well at the same time as being scary as hell. Like, it was kind of like your Mass Effect 2 thing. It just kind of all happened very quickly. A bit more gameplay that you get during this period than you do during the Mass Effect thing. But then once you sort of break out and you've got your cutting gun again and you're severing heads and stuff of enemies and stuff, I just thought it was a great, very quick way to sort of establish your character as not being crazy, and he's just an engineer, but he's sort of an action hero now as well. I just absolutely love the start of Dead Space 2, and again, still one of my favourite games to this day.
It was a brilliant opening, and a big shout out to you on that one, Steve, because as you were describing the dude getting stabbed through the head, that's exactly what we saw on screen, mate. Your read was to perfection. I'll let the audience know Steve is on a delay. Steve has no idea at what point the footage is, so that was just pure Steve hosting gold you just witnessed to. All right, quickly going back through them. So we had Uncharted 2, the opening train sequence, God of War, Spider-Man, what was next? Legend of Zelda. I'm waiting for it to load. Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, Mass Effect 2, and Dead Space. Steve, I think it's pretty obvious. I think the winner needs to be The Last of Us 2 for the emotional... The Last of Us 1 for the emotional resonance. That game had me hook, line, and sinker within 20 minutes. The only game to have ever done it from a narrative standpoint. What about you, mate? Where do you stand?
Words right out of my mouth, emotional resonance, and just it's not even so much the gameplay in that point, it's just the way it makes you feel, it's the way it sets up the whole franchise. It is the best opening to a game that I have ever played.
Correct. Naughty Dog, a winner is you, Neil Druckmann. Sir, you're a master. Keep up your craft. The Last of Us, Part 1, opening scene. You are the winner on this week's Standoff. Who will fight? They all fought. And, of course, Naughty Dog come away with the biscuits. Now, Steve, over to Q&A, audience interrogation. Can you do me a favour, mate, and see what's happening in...
Let me have a look. So Aaron Vessier asks, is in Dying Light, have you or Steve encountered any bugs or issues? I believe we did have a few, I had a few issues with one crash and a couple of audio issues, but other than that, it's been flawless for me. Troy has yet to see any issues as far as I know.
Correct. No issues witnessed so far, but only about 45, 50 minutes in.
And Aaron also says there will be no story DLC. I'm assuming he's referring to Call of Duty, which is a shame.
Yes.
Because I would love to see him go with that.
I bet he was. So, Sean Gaines and Aaron, good work, guys. I know you're regulars on the channel. I appreciate your presence here tonight, guys. Thank you very much. Anyone else out there, feel free to jump on into that chat. As I said, we always get to you at the end of the show in the audience Q&A section. So, drop comments anytime, and we round them up right here, guys. Thank you very much for playing with us tonight. And I received no questions over Discord. That's another thing we have. Geek Aloud has a Discord server. Jump on there. You can get in contact with us if you've got some Let's Install or some technical questions you want to throw my way. Feel free to send them through. If you've got any 120 hertz questions you want to throw at Steve, I'm sure he'll jump in there and answer them as well. And you can always put in questions for us to cover on G.E.A. every Monday night right here at 8 p.m. on Geek Aloud. But that's going to do it for this week. Steve, sir, a massive week. Great effort by yourself, sir. Thank you very much.
Anytime. Let's do some more games this week, and we'll come back next Monday bigger and better than ever. Off duty.
That we shall. Off duty you and off duty me. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Remember, we now do live Let's Plays Mondays and Friday mornings, 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Time. It'd be great to see you there, but of course, they'll always be available on video demand after the fact, so feel free to kick it back through the Geek Aloud archives, and we've got plenty of Let's Plays, plenty of Let's Installs, and plenty of Gaming Enforcement Agency for you to go back and check out. If you like it all, you can, of course, join the channel, $1 a month. It'll help me get that 4K PC running again, and we can get some 4K streams happening again. My apologies. We are just really resource constrained right now and can't quite get there without your help. So if you can, please join the channel, give us that $1 a month. It will help. It'll go a long way to getting us a better computer. But that's it from me. Troy, off duty. Thanks again, Steve. Good work, mate.
Off duty, mate. Enjoy every minute of it.
Good work. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Remember, Geek Aloud, like it, subscribe it. Oh, that was luck. Hey, that's something. I love everything about it. Ooh. Old Uncle Donkey. Donkey.